Are you comfortable, Van?
Absolutely.
That's good. You have a look of beatific. Is it beatific or beatific? There's a look of peace. That's a smile that says peace. Sampson, not so much.
No. Just trying to get behind this intro. Yeah.
This intro is not jazz. It may be the opposite of jazz.
It's also not Jay Desiderio.
He composed the theme, though.
True.
This rendition is by the lovely and talented Roger Pleasant. Theme. Yeah, okay. We've had enough of that. Welcome to Big Words I Know by Heart, a program of rants, raves, fays, pet peeves, personal vendettas, celebrity interviews, and anything else we can fill the half hour with. My guest today has been performing his own brand of jazz for troops and civilians around the world for over 30 years. He's a 5-time winner of the Nightlife Music Awards, a 3-time winner of the People's Choice Awards for Jazz, and in 2003, a recipient of the Diamond Accord Award, and for an encore, the Buffalo Common Council dubbed July 22nd Tailor-Made Jazz Day. It's my great pleasure to welcome Mr. Van Taylor.
Hey. Hello.
Welcome, Van.
Glad to be here.
Joining us in the co-host hot seat after a great deal of cumbersome labor at his day job is the Mighty Matt Sampson.
That is way too much of an introduction for me, but thank you.
Does anybody smell eucalyptus?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not having a stroke then. That's good.
Not yet.
Van, I have to start the show with an anecdote. Having been a freelance writer for a long time, whenever a guest's on the show, I try and dig something up on him. It's just my nature as a journalist. I went to Ed Honick from Nightlife. You know what he said? He said that man is a saint for what he's done for the troops. God bless that man. That's the nicest thing Ed has ever said about someone in the 20 years that I've known him.
Oh, God bless him for saying it.
You're just a decent guy, so I don't know why you agreed to come on the show.
Hey, I believe in supporting everything local and above, and I think it'd be a lot of fun, so I'm here.
That's good. And I'm glad you're doing well. We rescheduled once due to forces beyond our control, and now we're all doing all right.
Yeah, well, we're trying and we're making the best. I wake up every morning, I salute, and I'm glad. I'm good.
Sampson, you had a month to pick a shirt. That's the shirt you picked.
Yeah, I went for the golf dad look. I think I pulled it off really well.
We won't dwell on that. Van, are you ready to get into our questions?
Absolutely.
We are both happily divorced. Did you have to choose between your music or your spouse, or was it similar to my situation where she couldn't handle perfection?
I love that. I love that. It actually is my favorite slogan. I'm a happily divorced man. Mm-hmm. Yes, I am. And the reasons, well, it was just mutual good understanding. We are better friends.
Parted on good terms.
Absolutely good terms. Mm-hmm.
I believe you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Surprisingly, I believe you.
Yeah. There were no animosities or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Just a beautiful thing.
That's pretty rare. And you recently had a rather serious surgical procedure.
Yes, I did.
Has penis reduction surgery become less invasive, and is a sling involved for your outpatient?
Well, I wouldn't know. All I know, as long as all the parts function, I'm in good spirits.
That's good. You were telling me before the show, too, that you got into this in your teens at the age of...
Well, my history in music is I started playing when I was 5. I turned pro at 11, and I've been playing ever since. Had several groups. First group actually was the Ace Tones, but my musical, I would say, history is slightly different than most people. I grew up in a Polish neighborhood, so the first music I actually learned was polkas.
Kaisertown?
No, Paderewski, Peckham, Polish town, Polish-Ukrainian area. Yeah.
With everything that you've done in your musical career, is there anything left on your bucket list as a musician?
Yes. I want to play the South Pole.
Wow. Is that the only place left that you haven't been to?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You got to make that happen.
I'm working on it. Believe me, I'm working on it.
What's the population like down there?
Actually, it's a lot larger than what people think. We have some military bases there and a lot of research centers there. But then several countries have installations there. So It's the last frontier for as far as exploring this planet in ways that you cannot begin to imagine. As far as what's there, how thick the ice is, how old what's under there is, and the history that's there, and what they're trying to learn about really the planet as a whole, and then other secrets that it will yield concerning the rest of the universe. And believe me when I tell you, they have some secrets down there. There's some secrets down there.
You got to get down there before that global warming hits, right, Sampson?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the global warming is already here. It's just a matter of what we do with it.
Yeah, we got gale force winds out here today. What's up with that?
You know, it's part of Buffalo. It's just a different side of it. You know, this is what, April. Should be raining pretty soon. Oh, it is raining. So Mayflowers, as they would say. April
That's
showers,
true.
Mayflowers.
And in high school, were you in marching band or a garage band? And am I wrong to think that the French horn players were hot in a vague, undefinable sort of way?
Well, I'll tell you, the school I went to was Seneca Vocational, so there were no girls. They had to import cheerleaders.
What?
Yeah, at the time I went, there were no girls at Seneca Vocational. It was a vocational school. And you had Seneca, Hutch Tech, Burgard. Burgard was the one for mechanics and airplane wannabes. Seneca was for electronics, electricity, and manufacturing as far as machining, which I took all of the above. But there were no girls there. So for the football team, and we did have a championship team for like 3 consecutive years, we imported our cheerleaders.
So you had the gift of music early on. How did you nurture that while you were at vocational school?
Well, this is it. My father was a musician. My brothers were musicians. I was blessed with a gentleman. His name was Pine, and he would, with permission of my family and of course my mom, take me to all the clubs. So here I was, a little kid, going to the Pine Grill, the Corner Bar, jam sessions at 10, 11 o'clock at night. I saw some amazing things as a kid.
And you wanted more of it.
I sure did.
You wanted in.
I did. I most certainly did. And then I had to fault my parents. They used to go out, party, and set me in a basket on a bar. So my life has always been around people and entertainment in some way, shape, fashion, or form.
Was that your way to bond with your father? Was that how the two of you bonded, was through music?
In an extent, yeah, but he was an entrepreneur. Now, going way back then, at that time, he pushed a buggy. And that buggy, he sold peanuts, hot tamales, Cracker Jacks, popcorn. And at that time, he was actually a very well-known vendor. The vendor business that he did, along with his 2 partners, are the predecessors to what you now see the hot dog stands on the corners.
Interesting.
If you look that up with the SBA, you will see he was the originator.
And I'm assuming he's not alive anymore. Did he get to see you when you had made it?
He would have been 100 if he'd lived this year. He would have been 100. Born in 1917, is now, 2017. But my family was extremely supportive of me in the music career and business, and something that I am so grateful for, to have that kind of support. They encouraged me, and they were very critical. If I wrote songs and things, they would tell me the truth. If it sucked, it sucked. They didn't pull no punches. Beat was wrong or something, you got to reconsider that one.
And how would you say jazz fusion is similar to the scientific theory of cold fusion?
Well, that's not a hard one, because jazz fusion is, especially if you look at it from an improv standpoint, you kind of make it up as you go along. But when you get into cold fusion and physics, especially physics, I look at it this way. If you've ever been to Alaska and you've seen the aurora borealis, and you see how light and the magnetic field of the earth dance around, and you actually witness this, and you look at it and you can almost imagine just making it up music as you go along. You can actually hear chords if you really listen for it, because all chords are waveforms, light waveforms, and that's how I look at it. Physics was one of my favorite subjects.
Wow. Sampson, have you done anything other than disappoint your father?
No, I wish I had more honesty during my life choices. It seems like Van had plenty in his.
You have a dry wit, Sampson, that comes alive during the show.
It usually does.
Van, in 30 years, how have you seen music transcend boundaries and languages?
That's a good one because, like I said, I started out with polkas.
Mm-hmm.
And people will look at me like, you started out with polkas. Yes. Then after polkas came Latin. I started learning Latin music.
Everybody can get into Latin.
It is, but you know what the unique part of it is this. I love the horn lines of polkas and the way the accordions ran together, and of course the umpa drums, and you can change that. But then if you listen to how it rolls with Latin, it's very similar. In my travels, especially into the Middle East, Palestine, Israel, and for those who read the Bible, and of course the Torah,
Mm-hmm.
for Jewish, there's a book of Psalms, known as the Book of Songs. Well, I had a chance to actually hear, so a lot of people read, but I had a chance to actually hear the music that go along with the words, the style of music. It's very happy, upbeat, and if you really listen to it, you hear polka, you hear Latin, you hear African, you hear all these different musics all rolled up into one, and it surrounds with the beat. They say jazz starts basically in Africa with the beat. That's true to an extent, but everybody's culture has a beat in some way, shape,
Mhm.
fashion, and form, and they are universal in the way in which they're expressed. I've always liked when you can bring a lot of people together from different genre of music and just have at it. Just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I love doing that, and I've done that in several countries where we go to a place, they speak no English, but you have to communicate. Now,
Through
that's
music.
Fun. Yeah. That's fun because you don't have to say anything. You just point. And if you go to a country that doesn't have like the equipment that we have, that's even better because then they can take something like this table and make a drum out of it. They can take like that thing there with the glass or whatever, tick, 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 you know, and use everything around you and make sound and make a good sound.
So it's like the Blue Man Group, but less obnoxious.
Yeah, pretty much. You can do it, you know, all over this planet, and you don't have to speak the language, but you understand it.
Now, as a man who travels around the world and lives out of a suitcase,
Yes.
is it challenging for your groupies to follow you from gig to gig?
Well, it depends. I've learned one thing about stuff like that. If you're a golfer, people don't look at golfers, but you should look at the groupies that follow them.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
If you're a golfer, people don't really think about that.
Yeah.
But take a look at the audience. And these people travel wherever they go. So it's a golf tournament in Vegas. There's a golf tournament in Australia. There's a golf tournament in England. And you see the same faces.
Do you see some overlap with the festivals that you're at, or are you just saying that that's a higher income groupie?
It's a higher income. Absolutely. Now, festivals, they have an edge to it. I used to belong to, I actually still do, the Federation of Festivals, the International Federation of Festivals, which are the founders of the creators of the Montrose Festivals. I came in as a youngster. The original people, they would be like 100-something now, but I had that benefit of experiencing what it is to work with these people. And I have a saying, peace and harmony through music. But what I loved about these people, they had the exact same saying. And they worked with it. They worked with United Nations. They tried to get other countries to come together, use music as a way to unite people and bring people and countries together. I watched them make some really valid attempts. Not all of them work. Some of them do work. And I like to continue that. So yeah, when it comes to the universal approach to music, how it's used for peace, how it can be used to bring people together and solve a lot of problems, I firmly believe in it, but I've also witnessed it too.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, you got to see it. You know, when you go to United Nations and people perform, or you go to France, there's a conference there called the Meet Music Conference. It's the largest in the world. It has always been. But to watch nations come together and celebrate their own individual identities and then expose it to other people who want to know about it and see it, it's a beautiful thing. You really have to see it. It's incredible.
Sampson, I have one for you.
What you got?
You attend a lot of summer jazz festivals. Is there,
Consistently.
allegedly, Is there a reverse mosh pit or a specific tent with carafes of Zinfandel and a variety of spongy cheeses for stiff white guys who offer no physical cue that they are listening to music?
I cannot confirm or deny that did happen at multiple festivals.
That's a good answer.
That's a safe answer. Van, in 2009, you created Concert for the Heart to benefit the food bank of Western New York. Was that a conscious decision or an alternate in the event that the Beanie Baby Bank was all set for performers? There's a tongue twister right there. I ruined that question.
It was a conscious decision. Matter of fact, I'm a musician with the American Federation of Musicians, the union. Mm-hmm. And at that time, the union president was Ron Daniels. And he wanted to really reach out and help the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra. But at that time, in 2009, orchestras were failing across the country and also overseas. So, he did not want to see that happen here. But at the same time, I had a more of a concept of let's see about helping the food bank and, of course, the Buffalo City Mission. And something I've done on a regular basis. So I was going to actually do a concert in England with the London Philharmonic. And he said, well, why don't you do it here? Okay. As long as it benefits somebody. Mm-hmm. And we got to get our heads together along with the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame. And under that umbrella, combined with the American Federation of Musicians. And then we pulled together, at that time, Lance Diamond, who's gone mm-hmm. now, Taylor Made Jazz, my group, Old School B-Boys, which is a soul doo-wop group, and a number of other people, and we made it happen. And it worked out very well because what it did, not only did it support the food bank, it also supported the Philharmonic, but it brought diversity into the building in a way that they had not seen in a long time. Because you had a Philharmonic Orchestra on stage, you had the George Scott Big Band on the same stage. Now think about it, you had 70-something musicians in the orchestra, and we put another 18 in front of them. Mm-hmm. Okay, mm-hmm. And Melissa Kate was the lead singer for George Scott Big Band. But from a diversification point of view, it was a sight to see, and the different types of music. And now the Philharmonic has a diversity group itself to reach out into the community, and through that, the economic impact for the orchestra and for just the community as a whole is pretty solid.
Well, I think if you go after just one demographic and you lose that demographic, you're in trouble.
You are.
So you're better to go after a lot of people.
Yeah, and if you can maintain it and keep your music variety going, then you appeal to the next generation, and that's where the real secret is.
One thing I wonder with you, too, we have a lot of stand-up comics on the show, and they have a corporate set. They have like a small club set. They've got a different act depending on where they are. How do you change up your, do you change up your band lineup based on the venue? Do you change up what you're going to play? How does that work?
We're a group that actually writes a lot of our own material. Mm-hmm. So if you go to see Bruce Springsteen, what are you going to listen to?
Bruce Springsteen.
There you go. So you come to see Taylor Made Jazz, guess what you're listening to? Mm-hmm. Taylor Made Jazz. And our different songs that we write. I experiment with a lot of songs. I encourage all our young artists and current artists to write their own songs. Yes, we do covers, something like Earth, Wind & Fire, Kool and the Gang, depending on what the venue or what the audience may be, but it's not our focus. So we generally will play 60 to 80% original songs.
You have your own YouTube as well.
Yes, we do.
And what's your YouTube handle?
Van Taylor Production.
There it is. You can check that out after you check out Big Words Video 37.1 with a never-before-seen live clip from Van, special for the show.
That's right.
I appreciate that. Now pick your poison, bebop, swing, or Dixieland, and why?
Dixieland.
That was a no-brainer. You went straight to it.
Yeah. I like the happiness of the beat. I like how the guitar, banjo. I love banjos. Mm-hmm. The quick picking of it. And then the old washboard type sound. But one of my favorite things is in Louisiana, New Orleans area. Now this is a little morbid, but you know the funeral song? Mm-hmm. I love how they da 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 da, da, And then 2 minutes later, they just break out in a cold jam. They're dancing down the street carrying a body. That's the way. That's if you're gonna take me out that way.
That's a good way to go.
Yeah.
As a professional, can you provide a rational explanation for the enduring success of the band Steely Dan?
Yeah, it's not a hard one. I loved their chord structures.
Those vocals, it's like an ice pick in my brain.
It is, but it's how how he sings fits against the chords. They use what I call when you lay out your chords, especially on the guitar and the keyboard, the triads. But it's like for musicians to say there's a root note and there's the second and the third and the fifth. But how they sing, what they sing against those chords is what makes them stand out. And it's a classic arrangement. And so you know their songs forever.
And I'm asking for a friend on this one. How does giving back feel any different than being selfish and cynical?
It's the, for me personally, it's the smile on a face that would not have been there without you. It's the knowing that because of something that you did, you have made somebody's life completely different in a certain way. Now, maybe not in the sense of you did something that fixed an entire house, okay? But in places that I've gone to, just to smile at a person, and they look at you like, you smiled at me? Yeah, I smiled at you. And they smile back. And you can tell you just warmed their heart in some kind of way. Now, you don't know what that person's experiencing. They could have had the worst day in their life. They could have had the worst information given to them. But that thoughtfulness can change a person forever. And I had an experience like that in Portugal. With an older man. He was having trouble with his family and grandkids or whatever the case may be. Now, we went out into the back countries, and here we are in Portugal. It was 140 something degrees in the shade. And so if you walked out, you were going to fry. Literally, you could hear your skin pop. That's how it was. But that later on that evening, he was just looking miserable. And I asked him, well, what's wrong with you? And he said, I've got all kind of problems. Just problems. I said, you do? And I said, well, tell me about it. He said, I'm not going to talk about my problems. I said, well, okay. And then he said, why do you smile so much? Okay. And I said, because I'm alive. He said, wait a minute. You smile because you're alive. I said, yes. What's the alternative? You're dead. You can't fix any problems if you're dead. You can't help your family. You can't do this. You can't do this. I said, you wake up. That's the first thing. You can touch your feet on the ground.
We're on the right side of the dirt.
That's right. And he said, I never looked at it that way. Okay. I go back to Portugal 5 years later into that particular area. He says, you changed my life. Now I wake up every morning with a smile.
You planted a seed of positivity, my friend.
Yeah.
You really are all about the love.
Yeah. It's life is too short to be miserable. It really is. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't have good and different days, okay? There really aren't bad days, just different days. Everybody is going to have good, different, alternate days. But you still wake up, hopefully, and you still move forward, hopefully. And if something sets you back, take a good look at it and take a different direction.
So you're saying every day is a triumph.
It is, because you made it to that day. You have to think of who didn't.
I see. One more for Sampson.
What you got?
In addition to jazz, you are an avid Foo Fighters fan.
Absolutely.
Do you own all of their motion picture soundtracks that include the mellow rock hit Everlong and Were Mentos, the gateway breath mint, that introduced you to their mediocre and neutered blend of soft punk?
I mean, this is coming from a man who would willingly listen to Green Day, so I don't know if I can take this.
No, I never crossed that bridge.
All right. You can
I
try
was
to
thinking
deny
about it. I was thinking about it, and I turned back.
Well, you made a good decision.
You're going right below the belt.
Huh?
You fight back.
I do.
Van, has playing for the troops changed your... We talked about this before the show. Has it changed your political views, deepened them, or caused you to rise above them?
Oh, I never really mix political views when it comes to the troops. I keep that one real simple. It's like this. When you go out amongst the soldiers, Air Force, Navy, Marines, doesn't matter. Male, female, office, frontline, combat. They all have one thing in common. A bullet doesn't care. It's really that simple.
Mm-hmm.
A bullet doesn't care what you are, what your political background is, what your persuasion are. Doesn't care if you're male or female. It will kill you. So the people out there doing that particular job, no matter what we are at home, are defending all of us.
Have you ever been embedded during wartime, too, on the way to...
Well, we have an organization called Music on the Front Lines, and the name speaks for itself. We have gone, at our own request, particularly mine, to go into combat zones and entertain our troops that are on the front lines, because a lot of entertainers won't. They would rather do the gig that's in the hangar, or, in Europe, you want to go to Europe and see Europe. But I've opted for many years to go right into the heart of where it's at. So we have been to Iraq, different times in Afghanistan, not during the hot times. But a lot of the combat zones that exist today, I haven't missed any. Now, for the new ones, depending on the budgets and what goes on with it in our defense, hopefully we'll take part in those too. But to be able to entertain our troops and take a little stress off of them, no matter where they are, because we're in a different type of combat situation. In other words, for the soldiers of boots on the ground, as you hear the term, they're going to face improvised explosive devices. They're going to face somebody shooting at them. But we're also into cyber warfare, where you're looking at a screen, and hopefully the thing that's on the screen coming to you doesn't get you, because if it does, your lights are out.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah. That's just the way it is.
Stuff.
It's like playing a video game, except for you want to knock out who's on the video on the other end, and the person on the other end is trying to do the same to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a reality in a different way. And then the type of combat that we deal with, too. When you look at the future and how things are played out, whether it's in space or on the planet or under the seas, then when you watch movies these days, the reality is it's not too far off.
True.
Not too far off at all.
Now, I know your faith plays an important role in your music. Mm-hmm. Would you describe yourself as spiritual but not religious? And whose footprints were those in the sand?
I am definitely a spiritualist. I believe in all faiths, and I respect all faith.
Except the Mormons, right?
You know what? I love them, too.
Okay.
I do. I got to give them a lot of credit, because they got a lot of energy to do what they're doing.
They're a little wacky, but live and let live. Right?
Everybody has wacky. I don't care what the faith is and what church you go to, and I've been to many churches, and they go, "Oh Lord, here comes Joe. Oh, here comes Aunt Susie. Oh, help me." Mm-hmm. And that's every single faith. There's somebody that they wish would go home.
And you were when we spoke a month ago, you said that you're behind the scenes on the Lance Diamond biopic that's going on right now.
Yes.
Do you have any juicy gossip on the picture? And more importantly, do you have points on the back end?
Well, there's not really going to be points on the back end, because we're trying to make sure that whatever is made will go to selected charities on that end, and the video process is almost complete and should be hopefully out by July. They're pushing for June.
Wow.
I'm going to say July.
And that was, which studio was that? Was that Lionsgate or?
I don't know. When I say I don't know, is the producers are out of LA, okay? Mm-hmm. And then where this lands, that's when you get into the other distributors.
Yes.
So I'm not in on that part of it, but I contributed songs and video from Lance, and the stuff that they used and could use the most was the actual songs that are original recordings, and I wrote a lot of those songs.
You were the archive, and you wrote and co-wrote a lot of the...
Yeah, from years and years ago. I wasn't thinking at the time that they would be the songs they would use. I wrote the songs so that other artists could then write more songs for him. I just kind of built a guide.
We are almost out of time, my friend. So I think it's time for that horrible song one more time. I thank you for circling on back to to do the show. Is there anything you'd like to promote with, oh my gosh.
Yes.
I'll see you in a month. I'm sorry. We're out of time.